Hello and welcome to this place on the internet where I talk about all the things I make, mostly knitting, and I am here to share with you the things I am working on at this moment. I have some finished objects, I have some new cast-ons, I have some designs I'm working on, so just let's get started. I always start with what I am wearing, if there are any hand knits there, and I am wearing a hand knit sweater. This one is, I can stand up, but there's nothing much over here. You can see how long the sweater is. It's just over the waist. And this is a design by Arne and Carlos. I think it's their take on the traditional setesdal sweater, only in a modern coat, if you want to call it that. It's a reverse to what a traditional setesdal sweater is. So a normal setesdal sweater is dark with light color work, and this is the other way around. I made this for my husband. The only sweater I have knitted so far, and I grab it a lot of times because it's very cozy and very warm, so I wear it almost as much as he does. It's quite cold. It's not really cold, but it's kind of 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, so it's starting to chill a bit, and it's nice to have a cozy sweater to warm you up in these with these temperatures. So that's what I'm wearing. It's took me quite a long time to finish it. I also started it over at one point because you start at the bottom, and I had put it away for a few, I think almost for a year at some point, and my gauge had just shifted. I started to knit a lot more at that time, and my tension was just different than I did in the beginning, so I started to color work over at that point to don't have that line of where I had put it down, so that you don't have to transition from the first part and then the part I started on after that year. But yeah, I finished it. It took me quite some time just because it's a little bit harder to knit for someone else than I think it is to knit for myself. I don't know why, because I like giving hand knits. I really do, especially when I know the person will appreciate it. But it's, I don't know, it's less motivating for me. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. So things I give away tend to take a little bit longer than the things I knit for myself. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. He wears it a lot. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. Fun thing is that you don't shape the neckline at the moment you knit it, but you knit it like straight up to the height you want the shoulders to be. There is a seam on the shoulders, and you put in the arms, which you don't leave openings for. You just cut it open to put the arms in. And at the neckline as well, you mark where you want to go and put the neckline in, and you pick up the stitches and you cut away the fabric you don't use, and you hide it inside the folded neckline, the folded collar. So yeah, I think it's quite a neat finish. It's maybe a more traditional finish or a less fancy finish, but I think it worked out perfectly. And I don't know if I can show it, but on the where you put in the arms, you knit a little bit extra on the sleeve from where you're going to attach it. So you attach it, and there's a little bit of fabric knitted extra, which you use again to hide the extra fabric the height cutting line where you put in the arm. Let me see if I can show you without taking it off completely. Let's see if I can show it. Let's find that sleeve over here. So you see, oh, my hair is all messed up. So you see, this is my sleeve, and this is the body, and this is the shoulder seam, and you cut open the side to where so your sleeve will fit in, and you attach that, and then you have the cut line from where you cut the fabric over open, and this extra flap of knitwear was already attached to the sleeve, and you fold it over your cutting edge and you seam it down, and that way you don't have any raw edges on the inside of your sweater. So that's very, very nice that they thought of that. As you can see, although it's looking quite plain over here, I don't know, I normally wear glasses, but I don't. I get annoyed by the reflection when I'm filming a video, so it's hard for me to see if everything is sharp and clean on camera. But as you can see, you have those brown dots in the fabric, and that means that you have all the strands on the inside, which makes this sweater extra warm and cozy. So maybe I have to knit another one day, but it's a lot of work because it's basically color work all over, because you have all those lies, they call it, I think, over the fabric, and yeah, it just takes a lot of time, but the end result is always very nice. Enough about this sweater. It's already a few years old, but I think in one of my older videos I had like a break for a few years with filming videos, and I think I might have talked about this one in one of my older videos, but I'm not sure. I have a finished object to show you, and it's a project that was hibernating a bit. I think I talked about it in the last episode that I wanted to start on this one again. Yeah, so I did and I finished it, and I'm not going to be able to show it in the frame because it's huge. It's a shawl. I don't think it's like rectangular, so maybe it should be called a scarf, but it's way too big to be called a scarf, I think, so I will just go with shawl. It has a very, very interesting construction. Let me see if I can show a part so that it's a little bit more visible. So you can see that the lines of the colors are going in like a Z-shaped thingy. I don't know how to say that, but there's quite an interesting shape in the stripes of the color. When you're knitting it, they are just stripes you knit. So you knit with one color at a time and you stripe them, but because of the way you increase and decrease each in each stripe, each row, you get this interesting shape. This is called the mooi shawl. I will put the designer in the description box because I don't know that by heart, but I think it's a German. No, it's not a German designer. I don't know. I will put it in the description box, but it's called Mooi, and it's a pattern featured in the 52 Weeks of Shawls by Lane magazine. It's a book day. Was it last year? I don't know, they did the 52 weeks of socks, and then the year after they did the 52 weeks of shawls. And this was one of them. The original is way smaller, but uses 3 repeats, and I just did 2 because it was already super big. When I put it over my neck, it's almost touching the ground. Like when I put the center in my neck, it's almost touching the ground over my shoulders. So 2 repeats was more than enough. But I'm very happy with it. I used plötulopi van Essex. It's a Icelandic yarn, and I used it double-stranded. So yeah, the center of the cake and the outside of the cake, when they are like unused, they look like this. I have one complete leftover of the dark blue, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, it's unspun, and I just take one strand from the inside and one strand from the outside, and I knit those together. It's, as I said, it's unspun, and what that means is that when you take a strand, I think most of you will know, but I will show you. When you take one strand and you pull on it, it just comes apart, and you can reattach this by making it a bit moist and rubbing it in between your hands, and then it will reattach very easily. It's very fun to work with. You have to be a little bit careful that you don't be too rough with your skeins. Like sometimes yarn gets stuck in your project bag or on the couch and you're sitting on a skein or something like that, then it gets stuck, and when you pull, then you will just break the yarn, and it's easy to reattach, but that's something to keep in mind. I got this yarn from a very good friend of mine, and most people don't buy yarn from me because I'm quite specific in what I like, but she did a really good job. She's not a knitter herself, so that makes it extra special, and she bought me those skeins, I think 2 years ago for my birthday, and I'm very happy that I have a project finished now out of it that I can wear, and it's perfect. Like I can almost wear it as a coat, but it's also very nice when you're sitting on the couch just watching TV and knitting, and you can wrap this around. So I'm very happy with this project. I really like the pattern. I did made not a mistake, but the photo that comes with the project in the book has random stripes. Like as you can see, those are all the same width, and I was just a fool not looking through the whole pattern before starting. And when you have the written text of the pattern and you flip the page one more time, there was a chart or a graph where you can see how they did the color repeat for the project they made. So, and it was more randomly striped, and I think I would have liked that, but I only noticed it when I was already a few stripes in, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna change it up now, so I will just keep doing the same widths, and it's also just as nice. So yes, I'm very happy with this. And finishing a project most of the times means also starting a new project. And this project I wanted to knit on for quite a long time. This is a pattern out of this pom-pom issue. It's issue 31 and it was released in winter 2019. And I think I got it around that time as well, maybe a little bit later. And from the moment I saw this issue, I wanted the sweater that was on the front. And let's see if I have better pictures on the inside. I think they're almost the same, but it's just super beautiful with a cable pattern, and I just fell in love with it. But I couldn't figure out if it was the pattern or that it was the color or the combination, and I think it's the combination. So I also knew that I wanted a light pink color for this sweater, and yeah, so I waited until I had the right yarn to knit this out, and it was not intended, but I dyed this color last summer, I think. It was the first time I dyed it, and I had some skeins still in the shop, and then it struck me like this is the perfect color for that sweater. So I only needed a mohair to pair it with, because it's a pattern with a yarn and a mohair yarn held together to make it fluffy. So then that's difficult when you have dyed a color yourself and you did not dye it on a mohair, because I have no mohair in my shop at the moment. Then you have to find another brand's mohair to match with your own yarn, which makes it a little bit more of a challenge to find the perfect color. I knew I wanted a little bit darker mohair, because otherwise I think it would be too pale for me to wear. So finally I found the right mohair, and it's this one, and it is the Westwool glowhair in the color, I have the label here, Roswitha. I don't know how you pronounce that. You can find it on their site, as their website as well. It's their glowhair, 72% mohair and 28% silk. And when you combine these, they blend into a gorgeous color, which is this color. And I think it's just perfect. I love it. And I started, as you can see, I started this project. The pattern starts with the sleeves, so I started with the sleeve. And I know I should have made a gauge swatch. Especially for garments, it's always smart to make a swatch and measure your gauge and look if you have to adjust your needle size or something to make it match the pattern. Otherwise your size will be different than the sizes they give in the pattern. But I am lazy in that way, so I just started knitting and I checked my gauge while I was knitting, and then came the struggle, because I was thinking about a few sizes, like I was in doubt which size to knit, and then I knit this and I measured gauge, and I am spot on with the gauge in the pattern. But you always have to measure your gauge after blocking or washing or steaming your swatch, because it always grows. Wool always grows in wearing it and washing it and stuff like that. So I know my gauge won't be spot on anymore once I'm going to wear this and wash it and stuff like that. So now I'm in doubt. I'm not gonna change my needles, because I like the gauge this way, so I'm thinking about knitting a size smaller than the size that would be perfect for me in the pattern. I'm thinking about going a size smaller because this will grow, so it will be bigger than it should be. But will it be big enough? So that's the thing. I'm not sure, and I don't wanna wash. I don't know why, but I don't wanna block this partially. Like I don't want to block it now and then continue knitting, because then you will have a blocked part and a not blocked part, and I don't think I can handle that. I don't know. I think it's creepy, or not creepy. I think it's a little bit scary to just partially block a thing. I don't know why. That's just my brain. But yeah, so I'm just going to wing it, and I stretched it a bit and I looked at it, and I think it will grow enough that I can knit the size smaller. And yeah, we will see. What I can also do is just finish the sleeve in the smaller size and then block it and measure it, and I can always change up it's knitted in parts, so I can always put the smaller sized sleeve on the bigger size sweater, if that's, yeah, I hope you can understand me. I think that may be an idea, but for now it's a lovely pattern. It's a 2x2 cable and you alternate them, and that's how you get this braided effect, which is gorgeous and very fun and easy to do. I do my 2x2 cables without a cable needle, so that speeds up the project and that makes it very nice, because if I had to do, there are like 2, 4, 6, 8 cables only in the sleeve. And if you have to pick up your cable needle for every cable, that's a lot of fiddling around. So I'm happy I can do that without a cable needle. And yeah, it's just so lovely and dreamy, and I can't wait to have this finished sweater that I can wear all the time, I think. So yeah, a lot of knitting still to do, but I'm very happy I started it and that it's a project that I can do in between other things. I don't think, I'm not a knitter that just go for one project and finish it. I always change things up a bit. I don't know why. I think it's just nice to have different things to do. So that's a new project I started, and I have one other project that is not a design that I'm working on, and then I have to think which bag that was. I think it's this one, and that is the orange underwear. I don't know how, I lost the word. Like little pants for under your clothes. I think I showed it when I started it. It's on a very small cable for the amount of fabric I have, so it's a little bit hard to show the shape of the garment at the moment, but I did the ribbing, which will be the waistband, and you can choose to wear it high up or you can fold it over and then it's shorter, so that just depends on how you're wearing it. And I'm now working on the part that is going over your bottom, and it has ribbed side pieces, so there is still stretch in there, so if it's not exactly the same the right size, that you can still fit it on your body. So both sides have this ribbed part, and I think that's going down all the way to the leg openings. So I think I'm almost done with increasing. I have my markers over here so that I don't forget how many increases I have done. I could also write it down, but I'm too lazy for that, so I just put a marker in and keep counting. I'm almost done with all the increases, I think. Yeah, and then you have to knit straight for a few centimeters, and then starts the shaping of the leg openings. Yeah, and I'm curious how it's gonna fit and look. I can't fit it. I could put another cable in and then I can try it on, but I think it's fine, so I'm quite confident that it will fit, and I will just continue knitting and we will see what happens. I haven't knit on this for a few weeks now, I think. I was busy with other projects, but now I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the weather. I'm like, maybe I should put a little bit more effort in it so that I can wear it this winter. Winter is still for 1.5 months, almost 2 months, so still a lot of time to wear it, and I think enough time to finish it. So that's something I'm working on. This one I'm knitting out of Westwool, and I had 2 skeins, and I think I'm already, yeah, here is, I just started the second skein a few rows, I think 3 rows down. So yeah, we will see if I have enough. I think so. It's quite a short little pants that it's going to be, so I think I will have enough yarn, and yeah, it's going to be fun, I think. So that's something I have been working on, and I have 2 designs that I'm knitting on. I think one of them I might have shown before, I'm not sure. I'm gonna show it anyway because I knit quite some length on it. It's going to be a shawl, and needle in the face. It's knit out of bio-shetland by bc-garn, I think. Yeah, bc-garn bio-shetland, and it is the color 72. That's the green yarn, and I'm knitting. My camera always stops after half an hour of recording, so I was showing this one. So it's knit out of the bio-shetland by bc-garn in color 72, and it's knit together with a handspun yarn I made last summer, I think, or maybe after the summer. I think it's after the summer. And let me see, that cake is looking like this, and I'm very happy with how the colors work together. I'm very happy with that, and I'm thinking about doing something a little bit unexpected, like halfway through. I'm not exactly sure, but that some designs you already know how it's going to look when it's finished, and some designs just take their shape when you're working on it, and I think this is one of the last ones, so there might be something changing up somewhere halfway the shawl, but for now I'm very happy with knitting this chevron pattern. I'm not going to give away too much of how I'm shaping this. That will be more clear once the pattern is done. And I'm not even 1/3 in, so yeah, I think I have a lot of yarn to make this a very big, nice shawl. And not that much to talk about for now. Yeah, steady working on it, and it's very fun to use a color changing yarn like this. If you want to knit these kinds of effects, you don't have to make your own handspun. You can always buy handspun, but you can also buy yarns that look like handspun but are not really handspun. Like Schoppenwolle has quite some of their yarns that has a handspun effect, but is machine spun, so it makes it way more cheaper, because handspun yarn is just a labor of love and takes a lot of time, but it's very special to knit with, also because the thickness of the yarn, although you try to keep it steady and even all the way through, you never know exactly how the fiber behaves. So sometimes it gets a little bit thinner and sometimes it gets a little bit thicker, and I just love work. So there was another problem. The card that's in my camera is full, so I had to erase some stuff to continue recording. So yeah, very fun to knit with handspun. I'm very happy with this project. It's a very easy, mindless pattern that I can do while I'm waiting for my kids that are learning to swim. So at the pool I can just knit on this, or when you have to wait in a waiting room for whatever reason, it's a very easy, nice pattern to work on, because it's very repetitive and yeah, it's not easily messed up, so that's very, very nice. So that's the first pattern that I'm working on. I think it will be a little bit of a long-term project. I really want to make it something nice and maybe make another sample or something like that to compare it with a commercial yarn instead of a handspun yarn. I'm not sure, but that's something that's going to take a while, I think. And I am working on another pattern, and that is on my mind for quite some time, but I started it yesterday because I was like thinking it's just the perfect time of the year for this kind of project. So it's going to be a hat, and it's in color work, and for the color work I use 2 colors and a little bit of mohair to make it all squishy and fluffy. And as you can see, I hope you can see, so I did not erase enough to keep the camera going. I hope I did it the right way now, and we can continue to the end of this video, because it's so annoying to stop every time because you get out of your story and it's just very annoying. I hope you can have a laugh of it. I'm trying to have a laugh out of it, but oh, it's annoying. So I was talking about this hat that I'm designing. As you can see, there are heart shapes in there, and we're not really... I've never celebrated Valentine's Day ever. We didn't do that at home. I'm not doing that with my husband. We just say every day is a day to celebrate your love. Why should it be on Valentine's Day? But I know there are people that love Valentine's Day, and I know that there are people that think it's very annoying. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna call this pattern yet. Maybe it will be something to do with Love Yourself or something like that, or I'm not sure yet, but I think I was already thinking about this hat, and I did just not start it, and I was thinking, well, maybe this is just the right time to just start it, and we will see what happens. I also think it's a very nice pattern with spring coming up in a few months, and it's still cold, but everybody wants the sun and stuff like that, so I just started it. I am using 2 skeins of Drops Alpaca Unicolor. That are those colors, and I'm using a skein of Drops Flora Unicolor, which is also has also a little bit of alpaca in it, but it's also wool, and it's a little bit more yeah, sturdy is not the right word, I think, but the yarn has a little bit more body, and I just like to mix things up, and I really like those colors together, so that's just what I did. And I use as I said, I use a skein of mohair, and I hold it together with the white yarn and also with the pink yarn to make them both fluff up, and especially to make the inside where the strands of the yarn are so soft. So your hat is so cozy in this hat, and I love it. So it's not finished yet. As you can see, I'm already writing up the pattern as I go, and the fun part is still a few rounds away, and I think the fun part is where you start shaping the top of the hat and make sure that the pattern still stays nice and fun. So I'm looking forward to that part, and I hope to release this within a few weeks, because as I said, I think it's just the perfect time for a pattern like this, and I hope other people will enjoy knitting it as well. So 2 designs on the needles, a new sweater on the needles, and the Mamalooker on the needles, the orange little bottom cover. And let me think, I have a few projects on the needles, but like hibernating, and I think it's a pair of socks and a cardigan I had to start over because it didn't fit me as I wanted to, and those are a little bit in hibernation. I have to find joy in those projects again, but they're fine where they are at the moment. There is another thing I want to show you, and that there is a video coming of how to knit fisherman's rib. I made a video about brioche versus fisherman's rib, the differences, the most part how they are almost the same, but only the way you get them is a little bit different, and I'm going to make a video on both those techniques on how to knit them. And I'm not sure if there will be one video fisherman's rib and one video brioche, or that there will be a video of like flat brioche in one color, this is not brioche, this is fisherman's rib, like flat fisherman's rib in one color, fisherman's rib in 2 colors, knitting flat, knitting fisherman's rib in the round, and I still have to swatch the 2-colored fisherman's rib in the round. I don't know if those will be separate videos, or that I will put all the fisherman's rib videos in one, and another video with all the brioche videos in one. So I'm not sure about that, but those videos are coming. I'm working on it. It's always fun to do, but it takes quite some time to make all the samples and show all the stitches and stuff like that. So yeah, that's something that's also coming. I don't know exactly when. That also depends a little bit on how everything is going around here at home, but I hope to air those videos somewhere in the coming weeks. I think that's everything I want to talk about. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye!